The wise man speaks because he has something to say, while the fool speaks because he has to say something. This quote by Plato highlights the importance of intentional and meaningful communication between people. It's highlighting that wise men are contributing to the conversation and they're trading valuable ideas, while the fool is just chattering, not contributing at all, and looking foolish because they're just saying things that come up and they don't think about it. I've been in both camps personally, but of course, I'm always striving to be the wise man. Of course, I will never achieve that, but the journey of life is filled with surprises and experiences that make you more wise. And so that's why the wise old man tends to be the symbolism of wisdom. But this quote by Plato is not just talking about valuable communication, it's also talking about the power of silence and the importance of it. It's not mentioned, however, if you have nothing important to say, just don't say anything. There is no need to fill gaps of silence with meaningless communication. Your words and the things you say are the only thing that your brain and body could clearly state your intentions. Of course, your actions are one of the most important things because what's saying something without taking action. However, the way you communicate is fundamental to your persona and the way you trade ideas, and you're telling people who you are based on what you say. Of course, it's obvious, and that's a powerful thing because if you're constantly chattering, you're going to say the wrong things. And when you say the wrong things, you're devastating and potentially ruining your life. Now, the reason that is because your relationships rely on communication. And if you're chattering and saying whatever comes to your mind, your intrusive thoughts will be let into the world. Thoughts that you're not supposed to share are out there, and it may hurt people. So just be quiet. Think about what you're going to say. It sounds so trivial, but it's very difficult, especially when you're in an awkward situation and you feel that you have to fill the silence up, or you're in a mood where you just want to say whatever you want because you're happy and nothing could stop you, but just be quiet when you know you have nothing important to say, because again, the things you say are representation of who you are, and if you keep saying the wrong things, you're going to dissociate with who you are, and you won't see clearly, and your relationships will fade away. But not just that, of course, your reputation is on the line, because if you have career goals and you're saying obscene things that come to your mind sometimes, and you're not thinking about the consequences of your speech, it might be detrimental to your career. So, one, valuable communication. There's no point of contributing to a conversation with chatter. And the second thing is being quiet is better than filling gaps with meaningless conversation, which could potentially harm your career, your reputation, and your relationships. Now, the third thing is kind of this aura of silence. If you're too quiet, you might be perceived as a weirdo, antisocial, which is true. It could be the case, but when you have nothing to say, when you don't say things, your words carry more weight because you're uncommon. When you don't speak a lot, your words will carry a lot of weight and people will listen to you because it's interesting. If something does not happen often, people are interested. Now, that's not to say you should be manipulative and purposefully do this, but I find that it's natural to say less than necessary, and you will just see a difference in people's kind of respect and acknowledgement of what you have to say. So you get an aura, and people will listen to you because your words carry a lot more weight when you're silent most of the time. And the way I've naturally been quiet my whole life, and it's partly to do with being extremely shy and awkward and introverted my entire life. And I had to go to speech therapy and when I was a kid because I didn't talk at all and my parents were worried for me. So to me it didn't actually it wasn't a thing I had to train. I just naturally was very quiet. But it wasn't for the reasons that I'm telling you now. It's because I was a coward and I was too afraid of the world. But I read something a few years back which had this quote that I stated at the beginning of this video, and it kind of resonated with me, and I thought, maybe it's not a bad thing that I'm super quiet. Maybe it's a good thing because I'm avoiding I'm avoiding self self demolition through just saying things. And if I was super articulate and a super fast thinker, then maybe I would talk more and my words would be super valuable at the same time. But I'm not. So I'll stick with the silence. And I guess the last thing about silence, so I just stated 3 to 4 things, is the confidence of saying you don't know something. A lot of the time, if you're in a conversation and you feel like you have to contribute, you will say things and try to make up reasons for things instead of just saying you don't know something. Now, the problem with the first thing is you might spread lies about a topic unintentionally because you're going to make up some reason for something thinking that this is why this is. You might come up with you might have a hypothesis about something which is completely okay, but when someone is asking you a question about something you did, for example, you might just make something up by accident because you think that's the truth without saying, I actually don't know, let me just get back to you, and doing your due diligence to figure out the reason for the things you did. And that is more valuable because the end goal is to know the truth, right? So when you're just saying things because you're afraid of looking stupid, it's a representation of your insecurities and your ego in the world, and you don't want that because it's not going to be valuable and you won't feel good about it. So just be open to not knowing things and saying that Just know that you don't know things, because that's the first step to wisdom, right? And you could attain that through silence. If you don't know something, just tell them you don't know and then be quiet. You'll circle back. So just to summarize the points of this video is, valuable communication is important to the world because you want to come to realize the truth of things. And so if you just say things for the sake of it, you're being foolish, and you shouldn't do that. But it's natural. And the second thing is, chatter with no value risks your reputation, because you might say the wrong thing or something stupid without thinking. The third thing is the aura of silence. People will listen to you more and respect your words if you don't say things often. But the caveat is you have to say things that are valuable. So, you gotta put the work in. And the fourth thing is you just have to be open to not knowing things. Be open to saying you don't know something, because the moment you try to make up a reason for something is the moment you look like a fool if you're wrong and you're spreading lies in the world, which that is not okay. And it'll just build upon your insecurities, because once you're exposed for your misinformation, you feel more stupid. You feel like a fool. And that's why this quote exists. Because you'll feel like a fool if you just endlessly chatter. But anyways, how to practice this skill: just bite your tongue. Try to bite your tongue as much as possible. It may be weird at first because people expect you to chatter, but people will take you more seriously once you start biting your tongue. Yeah. Thank you for listening to this video and my spiel about silence. I'm by no means perfect, and I'm still a chatterbox at times, but certainly keeping this in mind has changed the way I communicate and changed my relationships. Thank you.